And I still think Kenny Pickett is potentially, number 2 unless they trade him.
I get that too. I mean, listen, we got Dallas, Detroit, right? We've talked about with backup quarterback situation, the Raiders and their situation with Aiden O'Connell hurt now, right? So there's 3 teams right off the bat, just off the top of my head.
And then Gabriel, who through no fault of his own commits one of my cardinal sins of quarterbacking, which is he's tiny.
Breaking news out of Cleveland has sent shockwaves rippling across the NFL. For weeks, the quarterback conversation in Browns camp centered on Shedeur Sanders, his rise, his setbacks, and the controversy surrounding his usage. But now, a new twist has emerged. Dillon Gabriel, once thought to be a quiet backup option, is suddenly at the center of league-wide speculation. Sources indicate that both the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys have begun showing interest in the young quarterback, a sign that his value on the open market may be higher than Cleveland anticipated. This development comes just days after the Browns parted ways with Kenny Pickett, leaving a vacancy in the quarterback depth chart and forcing the franchise to re-examine its direction. With Gabriel drawing outside attention, all eyes naturally shift back to Sanders. Whispers inside the organization suggest he may be only a handful of games away from cementing himself as the Browns' second-string quarterback, a leap that could alter not only his career, but the balance of power within Cleveland's locker room. If that moment comes, it won't just be about a roster spot. It will be about opportunity. It will be about redemption. And it may mark the first step towards Sanders proving that the Browns' future, no matter how clouded by turmoil, still burns with possibility.
Good luck, Browns. Good luck with the decision you're going to make. And Andrew Berry is determined to go forward with 4.
Yeah.
And it was just last week that Kevin Stefanski said that's not realistic. So, spirited conversations.
When Mike Florio speaks, the NFL world listens. The veteran analyst has now entered the storm swirling over Cleveland, and his words cut directly into the heart of the Browns' quarterback dilemma. According to Florio, the front office is weighing a decision that could reshape the trajectory of the entire season, whether to trade Dillon Gabriel. At first glance, such a move may seem straightforward. Trade a young quarterback while his value is high and secure future assets. But Florio warns the implications are far more complex. By moving Gabriel, the Browns would be reducing competition in their quarterback room, leaving the spotlight fixed squarely on Shedeur Sanders. And in Cleveland, competition has never just been about roster spots. It has been about survival. Yet this potential trade could also be the very opportunity Sanders has been waiting for. With Pickett already gone and Sanders regarded as untouchable, not because of his contract or his playbook, but because of the massive wave of fan support and national attention he commands, Florio suggests that the Browns' options are narrowing. Trading Sanders would ignite a firestorm. The backlash from a fan base desperate for hope, desperate for a hero, would be catastrophic. So the safer play, in Florio's eyes, may be to dangle Gabriel. His departure could alleviate pressure, satisfy the growing noise around Sanders, and buy Cleveland time to stabilize its quarterback room. But in doing so, the Browns would be walking a razor's edge. By choosing who to keep, they're also choosing the direction of their future. The stakes have never been higher, and as Florio notes, the discussions are intensifying with each passing day. This isn't just about roster moves anymore. It's about identity, it's about loyalty, and it's about whether the Browns are ready to finally hand the keys, or at least the chance, to the young man their fans already see as the future.
This is one of the natural and foreseeable byproducts of drafting him. He comes to town with a built-in fan base. The mouth breathers, as you call them, are in tow. Not that I called them that, but you called them that.
Yeah,
they're there.
Yes.
When Stephen A. Smith weighs in, the message is rarely subtle. And on this subject, he left no room for doubt. Smith declared that Shedeur Sanders is not just hanging around the quarterback room. He is climbing it. In fact, he argued that Sanders has already leapt ahead of Dillon Gabriel on the depth chart, and the evidence was there even before the latest preseason action. Yes, Sanders faced a small hiccup last week, but as Smith made clear, that setback was little more than a speed bump on a highway of progress. From his clean performances to his sharp communication, Sanders has shown an uncommon poise for a rookie under this much scrutiny. More importantly, his focus has sharpened. According to Smith, the Browns themselves recognize what is happening, and they are quietly counting on Sanders to continue growing into not just a backup, but an influential presence in their locker room. What makes this all the more remarkable is the pace of the change. Smith emphasized how quickly the narrative has shifted. In a matter of days, Sanders has gone from a young quarterback fighting for reps to a player fans and analysts alike see as Cleveland's next best hope. But as Smith reminded viewers, this is not the finish line. It is the starting block. Sanders' rise has opened the door, but now comes the defining test, proving he can seize the moment, push forward, and transform promise into permanence. If he does, the Browns may have found not just a stopgap, but a cornerstone. The opportunity is his. The question is whether Cleveland will let him run with it.
So I think that when we look at it, he's going in there, he's working hard, he's trying to improve every day. He's saying all the right things, trying to elevate his level of play. And remember, up until this past weekend, we did think there was a legitimate argument that he should have been higher on the depth chart than Dillon Gabriel because he performed better against Carolina than Dillon Gabriel had performed in the preseason game against the Eagles. It's just that
Stephen A. Smith's analysis has struck a chord because the evidence on the ground in Cleveland is undeniable. Head coach Kevin Stefanski, a man who has spent much of this offseason deflecting questions, dismissing concerns, and at times even critiquing Shedeur Sanders, has quietly changed his tune. For the first time, Stefanski has gone on record making it clear. His focus is now on developing Sanders, regardless of what the critics outside the building might say. This is not a small adjustment. It is a dramatic pivot from a coach who, only weeks ago, seemed hesitant to embrace the rookie's potential. What changed? The answer may lie in the shifting landscape of Cleveland's quarterback room. With Kenny Pickett shipped out, the balance of power has shifted, and suddenly Sanders finds himself back in the spotlight. The timing is critical. Stefanski's renewed commitment arrives at a moment when Sanders is beginning to showcase what separates him from the competition. His physical presence, his command in the huddle, and a natural charisma that teammates respond to. These intangibles, combined with steady performance, are giving him an edge over Dillon Gabriel, whose path forward may now depend as much on trade rumors as on actual snaps. For Sanders, this marks more than just a change in coaching philosophy. It is a rare and valuable opportunity, a head coach not just tolerating his presence, but investing in his growth. And in Cleveland, where quarterbacks have come and gone like the seasons, that kind of belief could be the difference between being forgotten and becoming the future.
I don't concern myself with outside type of things. But I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better. And that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
The debate around Cleveland's quarterback depth chart has only intensified as more analysts weigh in, and the consensus forming is hard to ignore. The question is no longer just about performance, but about physical limitations and what they mean for Dillon Gabriel's future in the NFL. Mike Tannenbaum, a respected voice in front offices and television studios alike, acknowledged what everyone saw in Gabriel's preseason: poise, accuracy, and flashes of real talent. But then came the caveat. Tannenbaum noted that while Gabriel's skill set is commendable, his size, or lack thereof, is an obstacle that history has shown can be difficult to overcome at the professional level. In a league where pocket sightlines and durability are unforgiving, Gabriel's height could prove to be the very thing that costs him the QB2 role in Cleveland, perhaps accelerating the likelihood of him being moved to another team. Nick Wright echoed those concerns, taking the conversation a step further. He recognized Gabriel's raw talent and undeniable competitive spirit, but he didn't mince words when it came to the glaring issue. Size, Wright stressed, is not something that can be coached away, nor can it be hidden in the NFL trenches. For all the moments of brilliance Gabriel has shown, this limitation remains a ceiling on his potential to become a reliable starter. And then comes the contrast: Shedeur Sanders. Bigger, stronger, more naturally equipped for the long grind of NFL football, Sanders' physical presence and upside create a striking gap between the two quarterbacks. In head-to-head comparisons, the narrative grows sharper. Gabriel may be polished, but Sanders has the tools. Gabriel may be talented, but Sanders has the projection. And in the ruthless calculus of the NFL, projection often wins. For Cleveland, this isn't just a quarterback competition anymore. It is a crossroads. One quarterback fighting against the limits of his frame, the other embodying the kind of potential franchises gamble entire futures on. And the analysts agree. The balance is tipping towards Sanders.
The playoffs
and
with him,
so if you want to start Flacco at the very beginning of the year, so be it.
Starting
right.
to the bye.
Right, or even less than that. But
Nick Wright has drawn a line in the sand, and for him, there is no ambiguity left. In his view, Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback best positioned to lead the Cleveland Browns forward. Not only because of his skill, not only because of his upside, but because Sanders has already proven in practice, in camp, and in demeanor that he is the natural choice. Wright stressed that even if Sanders hadn't delivered extraordinary performances so far, his mere potential, his aura, and his presence in the locker room would have made him a leader by default. But the reality is, Sanders hasn't just been promising. He has been producing. Training camp numbers, often dismissed as incomplete, tell a story that is hard to deny. Completion percentage, decision-making under pressure, command of the offense, and accuracy. In nearly every key category, Sanders has outshined Dillon Gabriel and every other contender for the role. What stood out most to Wright was not just the highs, but the consistency. Day after day, rep after rep, Sanders has shown up and delivered. That reliability, in a league defined by volatility, has cemented him as a steadying force. And the more consistent Sanders becomes, the more unstable Gabriel's future looks. The writing on the wall is growing clearer. If the Browns want to solidify direction and avoid a quarterback controversy spiraling out of control, the most logical outcome may be to move Gabriel elsewhere. Because as Sanders continues to climb, continues to prove, and continues to embody the future, one truth is becoming undeniable. Cleveland already has their leader.
Yeah.
And the fact that whatever those training camp stats are worth, and maybe it's next to nothing, it's not nothing, and it's not 0% that they're worth. And every time we show him, he's at least in line with everybody. And so I just think
generally better.
I think there is.
In conclusion, the quarterback battle in Cleveland has transformed into one of the most compelling storylines of this NFL season. What began as a three-way shuffle with Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders has now distilled into a head-to-head clash between Gabriel and Sanders, two young quarterbacks whose paths could not look more different. The rumors surrounding Gabriel's potential trade have only added fuel to the fire. While his talent and preseason flashes of brilliance are undeniable, questions about his long-term viability remain. Analysts like Mike Florio, Stephen A. Smith, and Nick Wright have all circled back to the same concern: Gabriel's size. In a league where durability and field vision are unforgiving, height becomes more than a number. It becomes a ceiling. And for Gabriel, that limitation could very well dictate his future, perhaps in another city where his abilities might fit more naturally. Meanwhile, Sanders' rise has been steady, deliberate, and impossible to ignore. Day after day, camp after camp, he has demonstrated not just skill, but resilience and focus. His ability to execute under pressure, to communicate clearly, and to maintain consistency has separated him from the pack. What's more, the Browns' coaching staff appears to have shifted their philosophy, investing in his development and trusting in his potential to be more than just a backup. And so, the narrative in Cleveland is shifting from uncertainty and skepticism to something rare in this franchise's turbulent history: hope. Sanders is no longer simply fighting for a spot. He is auditioning for the future of the Browns' quarterback position. As the season unfolds, all eyes will remain locked on Sanders. Will he rise to the occasion and cement himself as the heir apparent? Or will Cleveland's cursed quarterback carousel spin once again? One thing is certain: the Browns are standing at a crossroads, and the choice they make now could define their future for years to come.